Hello everyone. In today's video we will be looking at the loot from 5 tier 8 dungeons. A lot of people have asked me to do tier 8 black zone dungeons, and they have constantly compared these dungeons to the group dungeons in tier 5 zones, and you know they said the rewards were pretty similar, so I wanted to give it a try. So I did do a 8.1 dungeon in a live stream that I just did earlier today, and yeah, that did not go very well. I will show you a clip of what happened in that stream, and after that we will proceed with our dungeons. So I just wait for 90 seconds, right? Oh, the logout is getting cancelled when I pushed it. Scammed. Have I ever gotten scammed? Okay, it's really hard to scam people in this game, so if you just look out for trade scammers, you'll be fine. And you should never duel people for silver in this game. You never know what kind of exploit they might use. I got duel scammed sometimes, but I knew what I was getting into. I knew they were going to scam me, and I just wanted to see what they would do. So I lost a few million silver from that. I should probably have PvP spells until start clearing. And one more really obvious scam is guilds that recruit new players. So there are guilds that recruit players with 100% tax. So you should never join those. Oh, this guy's feeling lucky, isn't it? What the hell? Is this guy on wrong spells, or is he just a... Oh, I'm so scared. Whatever shall I do? As you saw from that clip, I got ganked by 3 people immediately after I entered the dungeon. I still got a good amount of loot from killing that guy, but it won't always go that well. If those guys all zoned it in one time, or if the guy I killed had better spells equipped for PvP, I might have died there. And this costs around 300,000, and I would have risked it for nothing. And not only did I risk this 300,000, the map that I used was 120,000, and I also lost that map since the dungeon despawned. After I left the dungeon, I was roaming around for a bit for those guys to leave, and by the time they left, the dungeon despawned. So I just got my losses and came back to city with the 340k that you saw. This is his gear I'm using right now. I think it's the same. Yeah, it still has the same spells equipped. I did not change them. Alright, now let's start our dungeons. I'll do the first one. And a great tip would be to always take the invisibility shrines. There are some guys who can use radar or ESP hacks. There are actually YouTube channels of these cheaters who publish their videos cheating. It's not a hoax or a paranoia thing. This actually happens, and this happens a lot. If you just search for Albion Online cheats on YouTube, you'll just find them. It's not like you have to search through some dark web or something on Reddit. It's just readily available on YouTube. So always be cautious. Always wait the 90 seconds after you enter the dungeon, and only proceed after you know for sure the dungeon has closed. Right. I will now cut to the first chest in the dungeon. And yeah, see you guys there. Right, we have finished our first boss. The fight was fairly easy. And let's look at the loot. The loot is 200,000. So yeah, this loot is comparable to the tier 5 group dungeons. We are at the second chest, and yeah, this loot really is comparable to the tier 5 group dungeons. Green chests are exactly the same. We finished our first dungeon. This dungeon was relatively small as it's only 2 floors, and it took us around 15 minutes to do. Oh, that's really good actually. 366,000. And this dungeon is completely free since we get a tier 8 map, right? 600,000 total, excluding these small potion fees. Okay, let's see if we can safely travel back to the city since we are halfway across the zone. And yeah, the travel back, it's 50,000. I think it's worth it since we have a lot of value on us right now. So far these dungeons are looking very good. See you guys in the next dungeon. The second dungeon spawned really close to the entrance, which makes it extra dangerous as anyone can just walk in here. We will have to wait 90 seconds on this one for sure. I'll just switch to my PvP spells and wait for them for a bit. Now I'm using Guardian Boots to tank some hits. If this cooldown does not run out before I exit, I don't get a shield. So if I have to buy time for this cooldown, I can tank those hits with the Guardian Boots. That's why I'm using this Guardian Boots. Right. Let's see if we get invaded by anyone. I will wait until this countdown is 220 or 225 since we already spent some time in the dungeon. Okay, we have finished the countdown and no one invaded us this time. So let's move on to the dungeon. We have finished our second dungeon, and this was also a small dungeon with 2 floors, and we did not get any loot. Yeah, this was a really bad dungeon. The first dungeon was really good, but we did not even get 100k from this one, as these items are not from the loot. We got around 90,000, which is still a profit from the map, but definitely not worth risking 300,000. We're at the first chest in our third dungeon, and the loot is as you would expect from a green chest. 10k. 100k. Not bad. Okay, I just finished the third dungeon, and all three of these dungeons were only 2 floors. I don't know what's going on with that, but let's see the loot. 128k. This is a bad chest actually for a tier 8 epic chest. The epic chests in the first dungeon were really good, but this is all just disappointing now. I got 290k from the whole dungeon, which again is not that good considering our set is worth more than the loot we get. And you should also not forget the map cost and the travel back cost if you are a little bit further away from the city. See, there's a dead body here, so There's been a gang party here recently. Look at this. We've seen 6 bodies so far. Five, I think, 5 or 6. And this is the sixth one. This is a completely dangerous zone, I guess. I did not see those bodies when I was going into the dungeon, so must have been recent. Alright, we have finished all 5 dungeons and the final loot is 1.2 million. From this we are removing 120k because that's the amount we paid for the maps. So around 1.1 million. This loot is quite bad actually compared to group dungeons. If you did the group dungeons for the same amount of time, you would definitely get a lot more than what I have gotten here. And these are just tier 8 dungeons, so tier 8.1 might be better and it might not be better. Since even if the loot is better than just flat 8 dungeons, the cost difference is really high. Okay, let me show you what I mean by that. Uh, yeah, the tier 8 dungeons each cost around 24,000 silver, and the 8.1 dungeons cost 114,000, which means if I get 200,000 from a tier 8 dungeon, that's like, how much is it? 180,000 in profit. And if I get 300k from this, it's not 180,000 profit. See, that's the point. Even if you get a little bit more loot than these dungeons, the cost is just so high for these dungeons that it's just not worth it. Now, if you want to find a middle ground between tier 8 dungeons and 8.1 dungeons, there are tier 5 group dungeons. So the group dungeon costs you around 31,000. This actually went down in price quite a lot after they nerfed Alien Jacket. Before the nerf, this price was 60,000 at the peak, and sometimes it used to go for 50,000. So basically, it got cut into half. Now, these dungeons are definitely providing more loot than tier 8 flat dungeons. The first dungeon I did today, the solo dungeon, that was really good, but the rest were really bad. This, I just got lucky on the first one, basically. And without exception, all 5 dungeons I had done today, they were all 2 floors, and the last dungeon was only 1 floor, which means that I have not killed as many mobs as I would have killed in a group dungeon, which directly affects our fame per hour. So the fame is definitely not as good as a group dungeon. And the loot, you have just seen how much loot I got. I got 1.2 million from doing 5 dungeons. No, these dungeons take a lot less time to clear, that is for sure, that I have to admit. For 5 dungeons, it took me 1.5 hour, and if I did 5 dungeons with groups, I mean, if I did 5 group dungeons, that would take me around 2 hours to a little over 2 hours, maybe. But the silver per hour is definitely higher on the group dungeons. And another really important benefit that the group dungeons have over these black zone dungeons is being able to faction flag. You can faction flag in black zones, so you miss out rewards like this winter bear cups. I got the points for these 2 bears today, and this was 2 million. This is just bonus loot I got over the dungeons loot separately, and you also get to choose if you want to buy these tomes. Why would you not want these tomes? See, 200,000 for each book, and I have 100 of them. This tome gives you 100,000 for each book, and I have 300 of these. These rewards are accessible only through faction flagging, and you miss out on all these rewards if you go to black zones and do tier 8 or tier 8.1 dungeons. The loot may be comparable if, at the best, but you don't get the bonuses that come along with the loot. That's the problem. Now, some people have said that getting down in a yellow zone with 8.4 set costs you 300,000 in repairs, and getting killed in a black zone with this set will also cost you 300,000, as this set is for 300,000. My counter to that is that if you are risking the same, then why not just do an activity that rewards you more? As I have shown you in this video, the yellow zones just reward you better with the group dungeons, and you also get the bonus of faction flagging. So considering all these things, it's your decision to make at the end of the day, and just do whatever you like. I will try to make a video on 8.1 dungeons later on, but for now I'll just stick to the tier 5 dungeons. Right guys, see you in the next video.